Winston Churchill was a great leader and orator, but he was also a human being who made mistakes and had flaws. He was not always serious and solemn, but sometimes showed his humorous and playful side. One such occasion was in January 1950, when he was preparing a newsreel message for the British public intended for the following month's general election. He had just published his memoirs, The Second World War, and wanted to use the opportunity to promote his book and his political views. He was at a studio in London, where he had to read a script from a teleprompter while looking at the camera. He was accompanied by his wife, Clementine, and his secretary, Anthony Montague Brown. The recording started smoothly, with Churchill introducing himself and his book. He spoke with confidence and authority, as he always did. But then, something went wrong. He lost his place in the script and started to repeat himself. He realized his mistake and tried to correct it, but only made it worse. He said, "I have written this book in order to give an account of my share in the great events that have occurred during these last 6 years of war and turmoil. I have written this book in order to give an account of my share in the great events that have occurred during these last 6 years of war and turmoil. I have written this book. I have written this book. I have written this book." He stopped and looked confused. He glanced at his wife and secretary, who were watching him with concern. He said, "I'm sorry. I've got it wrong." He cleared his throat and tried to resume. He said, "I have written this book in order to give an account of my share in the great events that have occurred during these last 6 years of war and turmoil. I have written this book. I have written this book. I have written this book." He stopped again and looked frustrated. He muttered something under his breath. He said, "Damn it." He took off his glasses and rubbed his eyes. He looked at the camera and smiled sheepishly. He said, "I'm sorry. I seem to have got into a tangle." He chuckled and added, "Perhaps we'd better start again." The camera crew agreed and stopped the recording. They rewound the tape and prepared for another take. Churchill put on his glasses and composed himself. He looked at his wife and secretary, who were trying not to laugh. He said, "Don't worry. It's only a newsreel." He winked at them and added, "And it's only an election." He then faced the camera again and delivered his message flawlessly. The newsreel was edited and released to the public, without any trace of Churchill's blooper. But the outtakes were preserved and later leaked to the media, who found them hilarious and endearing. They showed a different side of Churchill, one that was more human and relatable. They also showed his ability to laugh at himself and overcome difficulties. He learned a valuable lesson that day, that everyone makes mistakes, but what matters is how you deal with them.
Thank you for listening. For more stories like this, please consider subscribing.